Now, I think what we need to do and what we'll do over the course of the offseason is take a step back and really recognize what type of potential pitching additions or acquisitions really move the needle for us, because we do have, what I would suggest is a strong group of pitching depth. And so we want to make sure that any additions that we make actually improve our team. And, I think you can say, hey, we've got to add someone at the front of the rotation, or, if there was significantly less depth, we would say we need to just amass depth because of the things like injury and attrition that wear that down. Where we don't want to find ourselves is having to address both. And I don't think that's the case right now.
All right, back at it live in the Salem 5 studio. That was Craig Breslow on 310, where you can catch all Red Sox deep dives. But we mentioned friends earlier in the program. None other than Gordo being one of our besties here on Boston is end of the chat. We call you in, Nat, when it is time to get the lowdown, or at least try to break down any sort of mysterious ideas, or just get better information in terms of what should we be looking at when it comes to pitchers? We've talked about this for months now. We thought that we would grab, a 2 or 3, or the focus was a 4th guy, maybe more so. And now a few things have changed after the early exit in the postseason. So, of course, first and foremost, how are you? And second, who's on your list? I need help figuring out who should be coming to Boston to help out this team next season.
Yeah, morning, guys. There's so many options, whether you go trade market, free agent market. I mean, if you're talking my favorite guy, it's a name that surfaced since the last time I was here with you guys. It's Hunter Green from Cincinnati. Who knows if he's actually available? But the Reds media is kind of dangling that he could be available. Alex Spear wrote that maybe they could dangle him in the offseason. He's got 4 years left to control, and that dude throws 100 miles an hour from innings 1 through 7. He is a guy, and he is just one of 6, 7 names on the trade market you could look to. I mean, we've talked about a lot of these guys. Like Joe Ryan's been a name that's surfaced in Boston for the better part of 4 or 5 months now, but there's a lot of guys available, and the Red Sox do need to find themselves with one by the end of the offseason.
Okay, respectfully, Nat, because you my man. I call you Big Swole. We in the gym together. But Hunter Green, who I do like, that's your top choice? You just talked about Joe Ryan. You gloss over him. Skubal, allegedly, could be available. Why Hunter Green when you have these two? Why are you taking him over them? Is it just because of the control?
It's in large part because of the control, but Hunter Green is a 26-year-old stud who really came into his own this year. The thing is, obviously, you're not wrong at all. Tarek Skubal is the best pitcher in the American League, and he would be the best pitcher to be moved if he moves. He is everything, but it's just 1 year of control. He's got Scott Boras as his agent. You're going to be going against the behemoths of baseball to keep him. You're going to have to give up a ton to get him. I would still do it if it's an option. Again, who knows if it's even an option? The Tigers could be playing chicken here with the guy. But yeah, if he's available, you got to make a big push for him. But the reason I like Hunter Green as an option more is because he's an ace himself. He's got 4 years of control. He's 26 years old. The Red Sox love chasing velocity, and no one has velocity as a starting pitcher quite like Hunter Green. But again, it really is just about making sure you end up with one of these guys. You got the ace in Crochet last offseason. So to me, you can be a little bit less picky you don't need to knock it out of the park with an A+ ad here, but you do need a guy that you can trust to go out there and win you a playoff game next year.
Gordo, there's 2 former All-Stars available. Framber Valdez has ties to Alice Cora. Ranger Suarez is another one. I'm not sure if the Red Sox sign a free agent. When they have, it's generally been someone that's injured that they get on a decent deal. I think trade's the way to go. If it's not Joe Ryan, could it be Pablo Lopez of the Twins as well?
Lopez is an interesting option, and the Twins, it feels like they've been looking to cut salary. You saw it with the Correa trade. Pablo Lopez is a very good pitcher. He missed some time last year with injury, but that's a guy who, if he's healthy, fits exactly the mold you're looking for a number 2. So that's a good option. And, it'd be interesting because if you're talking with the Twins, I'm sure they're going to be talking Joe Ryan. But if Pablo Lopez's name came up, would I be surprised? Absolutely not. I'm sure he's a guy the Twins could look to move. I mean, he does make some money, but certainly not going to make as much money as a couple of the free agents you just listed there. And, the Red Sox are their payroll's a little bit higher than I think people would think post-Devers trade. They're about $30 million off of where they were in last year's payroll. That's before potentially bringing Alex Bregman back. So you're not going to be able to go out there and sign a big bat, sign Alex Bregman, sign a starting pitcher. Like, if they're going to fix all these holes, these deficiencies on the roster, yeah, you're going to have to take trades into account here.
Okay, so the Twins was a team that came up quite a bit, especially towards the trade deadline. But another team that seems to have a bit of a pitching bank that other teams were kind of looking to pull from would be the Miami Marlins. Is there anything appealing coming out of Miami for you that could be a good fit for Boston?
Well, out of Miami, I really like Sandy Alcantara there.
Yep.
He's a guy who at the deadline was kind of a mystery because, I mean, this is a guy with a Cy Young past who had just an abysmal first half and basically entire season leading up to the deadline, but a sub-3 ERA post-deadline. The velocity was there the whole way. I mean, we've seen tons of guys struggle out the gate coming off of surgery. Even like Lucas Giolito last year was kind of abbreviated because he really figured it out, but first 6 or 7 starts were awful before he had a 2.51 in his final 19 starts of the season. Alcantara was prolonged. It didn't look good. The command was not what it was, but the velocity was there, and he really kind of came back into his own down the stretch at the very end of the season. It's a guy with a couple of years left of control, and he's historically been amazing at eating innings, and just he's been the best pitcher in baseball in the past. I think he can tap back in, maybe not to what he was in the past, but can he be a number 2? Oh, easily could see that guy being a number 2 next year. So I'm selling myself more and more on a guy like Alcantara every day.
All right, Nat, I always take copious notes when you're on because I learn a lot from you. I love talking ball with you. I wrote down 3 things it seems like all of us agree on. You have to re-sign Bregman and Story if he opts out. This is like off-season wish list stuff. Another bat, preferably. For me, I like a big, burly lumberjack man, as I told you before.
Rocks.
Like a Schwarber or a polar bear, Alonso. And then 3, I have a bona fide number 2 starting pitcher, okay? If you go power ranking style of these 3 things, give them to me in order of importance. Is it keeping Bregman and Story? Is it the number 2 starter? Is it the big burly man bat that we need? Give them to me in sort of order of operations, important to least important for this offseason for the Sox.
Well, I feel like it starts, and it's crazy because it might be the least important need if you're going like purely on paper. But Alex Bregman needs to be step 1 of this offseason. You got to find a way to get that guy back here. Everything starts with him. And I know he had a poor statistical second half when at post-injury it wasn't good. But you talk to anyone in that clubhouse, coaching staff, players, everything they did this year, even when he was hurt, started with Alex Bregman. So to me, you can't let that tenure in Boston end after 1 year. Like there's a process that needs to happen with some of these kids that are getting acclimated to the big leagues, and he needs to be there for that.
Okay.
Not just on the field, but off the field. To me, the second most important thing, I'm going to go with the number 2 starter, just because I think long-term that's more important and more of a need than the bat. Whereas the bat, I think you really need to figure out, you need to get a big home run bat for next year. But I do think they have guys on this roster where long-term they can be that, whether it be Roman Anthony, Wilyer Abreu, even Marcelo Meyer or Christian Campbell. Like, you've got guys that can grow into that, whereas with the pitching, I mean, after Crochet, maybe Peyton Tolley has that upside. Maybe Brian Bayo could tap into it for a year or 2. Yeah. But you don't have that necessarily ace potential in the rotation, even in the system right now. Like, there are good pitchers, but a guy who can be like a number 1 or a number 2, it's a little bit more of a stretch. So I'll go number 1 Bregman, number 2 the number 2 starter, and number 3 the big bat. But I do think you got to get all 3.
Okay, all right. So hold on. Bregman's back. Hunter Green, who you like. Let's say we acquire him.
Sandy.
Do you think they'll have enough money to go and get someone else, like big bat wise, or do you think that is the offseason? It's Bregman and it's a pitcher. I mean, I guess, like, I'm looking at it like, do you have enough to go get one? Like, Pete Alonso's not cheap, right? So Is there some ancillary guys that are a little bit like kind of Walmart brand? Like it's not, it ain't Gucci.
Walmart doesn't move the needle. Craig said move the needle, Travis.
Can we get a baller on a budget? If you bring back Bregman, because that's going to cost a bag, you can trade for Hunter Green. I mean, are you going to have enough money here to get something designer, or are we talking about, like, bargain basement shopping?
Can we go to Target for crying out loud?
All right,
you went from Walmart to designer.
Target brand.
Nat, help.
Well, if you want to get all three and you want to, let's say you want to end up with like Pete Alonso or Kyle Schwarber as the bat.
Yeah.
The way I would go about it is you trade for Joe Ryan, who's expected to make less than $6 million this year. You trade for Freddie Peralta from Milwaukee, who's going to be under contract for $8 million this year.
Okay.
Like even Hunter Green, his AAV might be around the $13 million, but his cash is below it.
Okay.
So there's ways they could go about this. I do think they might need to get a little bit creative, shedding salary. And if they're going to bring in a big bat, you're going to have to figure out the Masataka Yoshida thing anyway.
Right.
But it might just be about, instead of dumping the guy and getting a team to eat half the contract, you might need to attach something a little bit better, get a team to eat a little bit more of it than you were maybe planning on, and attach a better piece to do it. But there's some creative ways the Red Sox can keep payroll down. They can accomplish what they need to accomplish and stay under that second tier of the luxury tax. That's kind of what I feel like the goal is going to be for them is stay under the second luxury tax tier and leave enough room to make additions at the deadline without really, like, because you've seen some of these teams that push themselves right up to the brink and want to stay under. They attach way too much to get some of these teams to eat money on players at the deadline. I'd like the Red Sox to. I mean, first of all, I'd love for them to go over the second tier. But
right.
Just speaking historically, they haven't done that in some time. So I'm not going to count on it before it happens.
Yeah, just to mention ballers on a budget. What's the deal at first base? Is it going to be Tristan Casas? Like, is that the baller on a budget?
That's how you intro that, Joe?
Yeah, and then, again, maybe it's not Alonso, but what other first base options could there be for the Red Sox?
Well, it's interesting. At the deadline, they pursued Eugenio Suarez, and it didn't get a ton of play because it didn't come out till after he got traded. But they were going to pursue him to teach him first base in season, and we have not seen the Red Sox. We've seen the Red Sox be not shy about being willing to teach other players first base. And you saw it with Romy Gonzalez as recently as the last couple of seasons. Eugenio Suarez could be the dude. He's still going to make a lot of money. It's not going to be as long of a deal, but that's a guy who hit 49 home runs. There are options. I mean, Christian Campbell played over there, but they've talked about how maybe that's not going to be the primary spot for him. I still think Tristan Casas is going to get a shot, but it just might not be as much of a guaranteed, this is your position and run with it. It might be hey, let's see how it looks in spring training. And if it doesn't look ready, we could see him platooning to start the year. We could see him in Worcester getting full-time at bats till he comes all the way around. First base, it could be interesting. My first choice would be Pete Alonso, and you see where it goes with Casas. He could platoon at DH. He could be your DH. But if it doesn't go the Alonso route, there are other options. But you do need to find a way, either at first base or DH, to have a 30-plus home run guy that opening day is going to get there.
All right, Nat. Do you think Drake gets his revenge or Kendrick wins by KO again? Who you taking, Blue Jays or Dodgers, bro? Who you got?
I feel like everyone and their mother is picking the Blue Jays, and I think it's fair. People think the Blue Jays are going to the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going to walk all over the Blue Jays. I don't think it's that much of I don't think it's a slam dunk series. I really don't. The Blue Jays have had something special the whole way. They took care of business with the Yankees, really didn't blink. And they have George Springer, who is playing as good a ball as any, and it looks like they're about to get Bo Bichette back. And Vlad Guerrero Jr. had one of the best postseason series that we've seen all year. I still think I'm going to lean Dodgers just because of that experience. And the Blue Jays, they used a bunch of pitching last night, and that team's got to be getting gassed. Yeah. And the Dodgers have kind of walked here. But I'm not counting the Blue Jays out of this series. I keep seeing Dodgers in 4, Dodgers
We know what
in 5.
team you're on.
I am. I'm counting them out.
He just made it obvious. They broke a Game 7 curse wearing Austin Matthews' jersey, so we'll see what takes place.
The Dodgers might ruin baseball. Who knows?
Mike. They might.
I don't know. Well, thank you for picking a team, even though he tried to be biased and guide you in which direction to go in. Nat, as always, it is an absolute pleasure to have you join us here on Boston is Enter the Chat. Make sure you guys let us know your thoughts, not only on the World Series, but off-season potentials for the Red Sox. 617-790-0928. On the other side, we talk some football and broken records. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us here on Boston is Enter the Chat.